This is my 1994 BMW 318 IS. It's been my drift car for the past year and has been a pretty good car to learn on. It has a 1.8 liter four-cylinder, but after I learned how to drift, I wanted to be able to compete, so I decided I was going to swap the motor. This is the last picture before I started to tear it apart. This is right after I pulled the motor out of the car, and then this was the motor out of the car. And then this is the car I bought to use the motor from. It's a 1996 BMW 328i with a 2.8 liter six-cylinder motor. I bought the car for $1,800 and was able to sell it to my buddy for $800, and then I got to keep the wheels. I took this video as a reference in case I needed to see how something was set up. And then this was the car when I pulled the front end off. Then this is the motor when I pulled it out. Then this was the clutch I had ordered for the car. It's a 4-puck race clutch and a super light flywheel from ACT, and it cost me $1,900. This was when I pulled the front end off the 318 so that I could put the motor in with the transmission connected. This was after I cleaned the engine bay, and then those two white things are the new Condor Poly engine mounts. This was the motor when it was dropped in, and we got it sitting on the new mounts. This is the motor sitting in place, all bolted down with the transmission bolted to the chassis. And then at this point, everything was bolted down and we were nearing the first start. So this is the ECU I had to order for the car. From 1996 and up, all BMWs came with EWS, which is a security system where they put a chip in the key that connects it to the ECU to let the car start. So I had to go get that deleted as I didn't have the key from the original car. So the company I bought the ECU from also offers a performance tune for an extra $250. So I got that as well for an extra 15 horsepower and 10 torque. This is when mostly everything was hooked up, including the new ECU. And then this is a heater control valve. I took it out because I'm not running any AC in the car, so I just made a bypass unit for it. And then this is my dad when I tried to start the car for the first time. And I had posted this on BMW Facebook forum because this was the one plug that I couldn't find a place for. A few people had told me it was for the fuel pressure regulator, which I had forgot about. So then I messaged the guy who I bought the car off of, and he gave me the part so that I could hook it up. This was a rough mock-up of the fuel pressure regulator underneath the car. And then this was the first try to start the car after I hooked up the fuel pressure regulator. Woo! Yes! So then once I got the car running, I marked the fuel pressure regulator so that I could relocate it. And I put it in the engine bay because it's a lot easier to just extend the fuel lines up there rather than making a bracket underneath where there isn't really any room to mount it. And then this was one of the major downfalls of the project. The power steering line blew when I was bleeding it, and this was where it split the line. So I grabbed an extra 325 steering rack I had in the back, and I double checked how my lines were set up. And after multiple hours of trying to figure it out, I just made a bracket so that I could mount the original 318 pump on the car. And then it was working fine, but I'm still not sure why the 328 pump didn't work. And then at this point, the car was running good and everything was hooked up, but I hadn't cleaned everything up yet. And this is pretty much the final product. Thank you for watching my journey of swapping an M52 into a 318 IS. Now here's some clips of it running.